Hello and welcome back to our podcast, Life Under the Moon. I am your host, Sammy B. And today and for the next 2 weeks, and maybe you've already felt it, we will be celebrating the new moon in Cancer, nurturing ourselves. And we are going to focus on feeling at home within ourselves. That is the theme for now and the next 2 weeks. So what does it mean to feel at home with ourselves? I think we all know the feeling of what home feels like in general. Maybe we feel at home where we grew up, in our parents' home. Maybe home feels like a friend's home. Maybe home feels like a spot in the forest or a special tree that you like to go to. Home can be different for everyone. Home is what you make it to be. But what is home inside of you? Take a minute and think about what that really truly is for you. Maybe you feel most at home when you meditate. Maybe you feel most at home when you aren't stressed. Maybe you feel most at home when you have absolutely nothing to do. Whatever makes you feel at home within yourself. Find that feeling and hold on to it. Not only for the next 2 weeks, but for the rest of your life. Because home is a very sacred place. Home never leaves you. And what you think home is what home will be. Another aspect to feeling at home is to have self-intimacy, both physical and more non-physical. What I mean by that is, well, anything that can be physical. And internal self-intimacy is like telling secrets to yourself. Do you ever have that feeling where you hear something and you just wish you had a best friend to tell it to, but maybe you don't? Well, tell it to yourself. Or maybe there's something about yourself that you haven't told anyone. Tell yourself that. Share a secret with yourself, and I guarantee you will begin to feel extra close to yourself. We're going to move on to a little bit different of a part of how we can nurture ourselves. The people in our life who make our journey difficult, those are our greatest teachers, and they are also a part of our family, and we need them to create space for them in our inner family. What the heck are you talking about, Sammy B? I'll tell you. We all have either that one person in our life right now, or maybe our past, or maybe we have multiple people that just grind our gears, that we could just do without, that we wish that they weren't a part of our life, that we wish that they weren't so damn difficult. Yeah, we all have that person. And I'm with you. I could think of a few off the top of my head right now that are just making my life so much harder and more complicated than I feel like it honestly needs to be. And that's frustrating because I just want my life to be happy, and I know you do too. But those people were sent to us, maybe even chosen. Maybe we chose them to be our teachers, to be our challengers, to help us grow and to help us become better us. Now, what I mean by that is that think about the times that you've grown the most. I bet it wasn't when it was easy. I bet you it was through the most difficult situations of your entire life. At least that is like that for me, and I guarantee you it's like that for most people. So these people who challenge us and maybe don't accept us, you need to welcome them as your own to your family, because they are part of your life for a reason. Add them to your collection of family. Because family doesn't just have to be blood. It can be soul family. And it includes those who make it difficult. There are different characteristics of family. And personally, blood family is not always just the definition of family. And I really, really wish that people knew that. And that's why I want to make this podcast, not just because of this, but that's why I want to talk about these sort of topics with you guys during this podcast because we need to remove the stigmatism of so many different words and phrases and ways of life, because life is so much more than that. And blood family might not be what you have, at least not in your heart. I understand that. And that's why I want to share that we have the opportunity to create our own private oasis during this time. We get to pick who we want in our life. And those people that make it difficult, you have to pick them too. But they are in your life for a reason. They're trying to teach you something, and you need to listen. And they might not be in your life forever, so you need to stop, welcome them in, deal with what matters is at hand, and maybe eventually they won't be there anymore. Or maybe things will just simply get better. So create this oasis, this safe, private space inside of you for you to seek peace and serenity. And don't forget to ask yourself the question, who are those who feel like family? Think about that right now. Maybe it's your dog, your cat, your mom, your teacher, your bus driver, your best friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your grandpa. It doesn't matter. Who feels like family to you? Think of those people or animals, or maybe it's a place, and keep them safe inside that private oasis. And remember, wounds are not external. They are internal. So we need to really focus on why said person is making our life difficult and what it is trying to really, truly show us. And how can we heal that? Let's go to our safe, private oasis space and really deeply look at these questions. Are you smothering somebody? Why? You need to surrender. Trust that everything will work out. I can think of one person in my life right now that I feel like I may be smothering a little bit with just attention, maybe too much attention. And I realized the second that I thought, well, why am I smothering that person? It's because I have a fear of losing them. So if you're doing the same thing, I want you to think of your reason too, and surrender and trust. If they are meant to be in your life, they will. And if they aren't, they won't be. Let things happen without the need to control others, without the need to control yourself. And don't depend on others, because that might lead you to disappointment. You must always put yourself first. You must mother yourself. No matter what the gender that you are listening to this podcast, find your inner mother and nurture yourself and make all decisions based on your intuition. This is a very heightened emotional time. So anything that you're going through must be made by the guidance of your own true self. Your feelings matter and they teach us. Because this is an emotional time, I want you to feel whatever you are going through right now. It's okay to feel exactly how you're feeling. Feeling is different than reacting. You might say, well, I'm angry. That's not right. No, that's not right. You are allowed to feel angry. That is a given emotion, and you are allowed to feel everything that you're feeling. So feel it. I want you to pick a feeling and choose what feels like home. So which feeling will you choose to be a home for you? This is a tricky question because I think most people would choose happiness, but maybe some people would pick sad. Maybe some people would pick excitement, joy. Whatever feeling feels like home, we are going to add that to our little private oasis family collection. And whenever you feel that emotion, welcome it in with open arms. Get rid of anything inside that does not feel like home. This might be more beneficial to meditate, to sit with your feelings, to sit with your emotions, and to find what really truly works for you the most and what isn't working. If you're feeling some sort of emotion or some sort of way that just doesn't feel like it is synchronizing with who you are anymore, let's get rid of that emotion. This is a good time to release. A good way to do that too is to write it down on a piece of paper, whether it's an emotion or a problem or a feeling towards someone. Write it down and safely burn it. It'll be even more powerful to do it today on the new moon. Let go of anything that gives you temporary relief. I don't think I need to explain that. Find it and get rid of it. This is going to be a little bit of a challenge for, I think, most of us, but we are going to look into the feeling and the state of equanimity. Now, if you are a user of Calm, the meditation app, you might know what this word means, but it took me years to actually understand the meaning. And let me explain to you my definition of equanimity and my understanding of it. Equanimity is basically being absolutely okay, being completely fine, certain, trusting, and just allowing things to be in any given moment, at any given time, with any given situation. It just means to just simply be. All right? Let me give you some examples. Equanimity. Your boss is being a piece of shit to you. Accept it. What? How do you do that? Equanimity. To be at peace with all things at all times. It doesn't mean that what's happening to you is okay, but once you accept that it is happening, things become so much more clearer, calmer, and more respected. And then at that point, you are able to deal with the situation from a standpoint that is now not reaction, but your choice of how to react to the situation. Now, we cannot be in a state of equanimity at all times because sometimes that feeling will dissipate. Sometimes we'll forget and sometimes it just simply won't exist. But learn how to return to that state at any given moment so that you can rely on that for inner stability. So if there's somebody who maybe pisses you off and you lose your cool, remember that you can go back to equanimity. Just because you lashed out does not mean that, oh, well, I guess I just have to keep fighting because I lashed out and I started yelling, so there's no point in going back. No, you can restart at any given second. Don't just restart on the weekend. Don't just restart on Mondays. Take a deep breath, even blink, and that can be your new starting line. Another question, and this is very important to remember during this time, is where are we too rigid in our life? Where are we stiff? Where can we bend it so that it does not break? Because if we hold on to things that are not meant to be held on to, that will break. Think about a tree, a tall, rigid tree, alone in a field, and a windstorm comes along. It is very likely that that tree will snap in half because it is too rigid. Now think about a willow tree right beside that tree. It's bendy, it's flexible. And yeah, maybe a couple leaves will get damaged during the windstorm, but the tree will still stand. So think of a situation in your life where you feel the need to bend and flex and maybe change your way of thinking. Maybe don't be so rigid in some sort of way of thinking with something. And I'm sure we all can do something a little bit more flexible. Get in touch with the water frequency. Now, you can go on Google and look up anything that has to do with water. You can go swimming in a lake. You can go to the ocean, wherever you need to. Go to a pool. Maybe take a shower. Maybe sit outside in the rain for just a couple minutes. Find anything to celebrate the water element, the water frequency, and look up ways to get in tune with it. Cancer is all about emotions, water. Again, tears, letting your emotions out, feeling everything. This is a time to reset. Learn to water yourself with love. Imagine that you are a growing plant. Now, we're not plants, but we are growing beings, and we do technically need water to survive. Learn how to water yourself with love. Shower yourself with emotion. Shower yourself with self-love. And also stay hydrated, because this is also a very important time to focus on being healthy, being one with ourselves. And since we are made up of water, make sure you keep it that way. Stay hydrated. This is going to help you feel better from the inside, both physically and emotionally. And feel free to cry it out, because healing is to feel. What areas of your life are dry and need water to blossom? Think about these things and start watering them. For example, maybe your financial area of life is a little bit dry, meaning you're not so good with your money lately, or maybe you're spending it too quickly. That could be an issue, and maybe you're not paying your bills on time. Think about that whole entire situation. Sit down, write it out, write it in your journal, write it in your diary, sit with a glass of tea or a cup of wine, and just think about what in your life needs to be watered. Maybe it's a certain relationship. Maybe you have tension with somebody. Maybe you and your best friend are fighting right now. That doesn't sound like an ideal situation. So let's water those dry areas. Let's blossom them. Maybe you have a dream. Maybe you want to lose weight. Water that dream, water that seed, and let's watch it grow. What do we want to do that makes us feel guilty? So think about something that you want to do, but then you feel guilty about it. What if it's you're on a diet with your best friend, you really want to order pizza, but you can't because you guys promised each other that you would eat healthy? Does that make you feel guilty? Why? Why do you feel guilty? Because you made a promise to somebody. Well, then why do you want the pizza? Because life is short and it tastes good. This is where you can weigh your pros and cons. It doesn't mean you can't have the pizza. If you want that pizza, you have that pizza. But think about before you take it, why are you feeling guilty about it? And is it worth it? Because if it is, do it. I don't think your best friend is going to hate you if you have that pizza. Just think about the things that make you feel guilty. Why do they make you feel guilty? And then with that answer, proceed with how you answered that question. And now this one is very important to always show. Always show the best version of who you are. Always. You cannot save everyone. The only person that you need to save is not even just yourself. It is becoming the best version of yourself so that you are then able to make this world a better place. Don't worry about other people before worrying about yourself. Give new birth to your past. Now, what that means is to think about something in your past that maybe you're not so grateful for, maybe that you regret, and give new light to it. Shine new light to it. Find anything that you can and all things that you can to make that a positive memory or a little bit of light shed on it. This will help you grow stronger. And the last thing we're going to focus on is, what kind of parent are you to yourself? That's right. It comes back to mothering ourselves. But think about what kind of parent you had growing up. I can guarantee you that it wasn't rainbows and butterflies. I guarantee you that you got mad at your mom and dad eventually at one point. Think about the kind of parent that you want to be to your child. Think about the kind of parent you wish you had, and be that person to yourself. You don't need to rely on others, as we already stated, because you may be led in disappointment. So focus on how you wish to be treated and be your own parent. This isn't about being your own best friend. This isn't about being your own inner child. This is about being your own parent to yourself. And let's focus on how to incorporate that into our life. That was a lot. And there is absolutely a ton of information that we need to focus on. This is probably the longest podcast episode yet. So thank you guys for listening. Let me know in the comments what resonated with you the most. I know this is a lot to focus on, so feel free to come back and maybe replay parts of the podcast that you want to really focus on. I know it's going to be hard to focus on everything at one given time because our minds are only capable of remembering so much. But remember to always show the best version of who you are. And with that, as always, we're going to choose a wish from a podcast listener's comment. And because we don't have any comments yet, we are going to wish for you guys. You listening right now, we are going to sit here, manifest under the new moon in Cancer, and we are going to wish that you retain as much of this information as you can that resonated with you the most, so that we can become better for ourselves and for the collective. And with that being said, let's go make this world a better place with our life under the moon.